Welcome back, guys. Hey, this is Justin Berry.
Brad Chappell here.
You listen to the Crappie Connection. Sit back, turn the volume up, get ready, because we got the owner of Crappie Masters, Mike Vallentine. Mike, welcome, man.
Thank you, thank you.
Man, was you fishing out there today?
No.
Now, we're out here at Lake Washington, here at Brad's cabin here, and they had Crappie Masters today here at Lake Washington. And let me tell you, it was a rough one today, wasn't it?
Oh, my. Very rough. It was unbelievable. We was out there for most of the day filming, so I got to be out in it.
You got to be out in it, but you didn't fish it, though, right?
No, no fishing.
Get some fish catching on camera?
We were, let's see, Friday and Saturday combined. I mean, live rolling catches, I think 3 fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a tough week. It's been a tough spring so far at Lake Washington. We've got high water here and muddy water and cold water all combined. So it's been a tough year so far.
Worst combinations, cold and muddy.
That's exactly right. What won it today?
Let's see, 1396, almost 2-pound average.
Strong.
Real strong. 2 guys from Missouri, Kevin Reller and Brian Creech.
Oh, wow.
Spider rigging right out in the middle of the lake.
Toughing it out.
Yes.
Right out in the middle of the lake.
Right out in the
middle.
middle.
Fighting them ways, wasn't they?
They was.
When's your next stop?
Next stop is Grenada Lake.
Oh, looking for some heavyweights coming.
Oh, man. That lake's got them if they can get to them.
Absolutely.
Be a lot of water to cover, ain't it? A lot of water to cover. Let's see. How long have you been the owner of Crappie Masters now?
This is my 7th season.
7th season.
Yes.
And now how long has Crappie Masters been around?
It's been around since 2004.
2004.
Yeah, they're starting to add up.
Yeah, they are. That's for sure. For sure. Man, one of the main questions we got here, I know Brad's where I'm going to go direction with this. Is there any expansion of like maybe traveling a little bit out west with the trail? Do you think there's any kind of money? I know that money's everything, but do you think there's any kind of money for that, for yourself going out west?
You know, I don't know. It would be a new experience. You would have to have a whole new target crappie fishermen out there that we don't even know if it even exists. So we went into Oklahoma, which we'd been there before. Crappie Masters had been there before, so we've been there for 3 or 4 years in a row now, and the turnout's not so bad. I'm wanting to get into Kansas, you know, baby steps, and try to grow westward if we could.
If you could. You've been going back to Texas here recently as well.
Yeah, Texas.
Growing big there as well, don't they?
They grow real big.
So it's more of not if the fish is out there, it's more if
the people want to do it.
If the people want to do it, correct?
That's right. Yeah. There's there's crappie lakes all over the United States. I've met some people that have claimed to have caught crappie in all 48 inland states, so we know they exist. And you know, online, all the stuff online points to crappie fishing does exist everywhere. I get all kinds of messages and pictures sent to us all the time. But I have no idea even if tournament crappie fishing exists out west.
Well, we've been talking and discussing it just out of the clear blue, and they got some really big weights out in California.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen any of that on there?
Yes, yeah, I have.
That's amazing, ain't it?
Yeah, that's a long way.
It is a long way.
I actually discussed Arizona with a group of guys about 3 years ago.
Oh, really? You really have?
Yeah. We actually talked about it and what it would take to get out there. And the biggest snag that we ran into was to guarantee that we would have some crappie fishermen that already tournament fish. You know, we would have to basically probably cover some expenses to get them out there, and you know, and show tournament fishing to people that may not have done it, you know, or at all, or at this level.
Yeah.
And the expense just got so high that it just didn't seem, you know, possible or feasible.
I know one of the things that I would like to know, you know, from your standpoint, is how much has crappie fishing changed since you know you've taken over crappie fishing. What have you seen in your own personal business standpoint and everything else? Yeah,
it's grown a lot, you know, and it's just because it's become more interesting. There's a lot more eyeballs following it, a lot larger audience. So, you know, some things we know is that crappie fishing is everybody wants to know more about it. Everybody likes to crappie fish. We know that exists everywhere.
Everybody likes to eat them.
They love to eat them.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And that's something that I feel like we can't forget about.
Yeah.
And we want it so badly to be a larger sport fish, but it's a panfish.
Right.
It really is, and that's never going to change.
Right.
And but creating a larger sport out of it, it's starting to happen. A larger audience, we see that with online people watching online. When we hit the stop button today, there was 4,200 views from the live feed.
From the live feed, 4,200 views.
Yes. Yep.
4,200 people at once watching.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. Or
That's a lot.
So you say mainly like
or,
techniques, has, in your opinion, has helped this sport going where it's going, or electronics, or what's kind of doing it? You think?
Well, I think all the attention it gets online has really done it. There's more television shows now. There's more people seeing it. There's more, folks like yourself that are putting hours into it and exposing it to more people. They're just more interested in it. I think crappie fishing is, a lot of people, they don't know how to catch them.
Right.
So when I first got, into Crappie Masters, I thought, gosh dang, you got to get in here and figure out a way to make this thing grow. And to me, it just seemed kind of an easy thought process. Was everywhere you go, people are like, oh, we catch them in a spawn, and we don't fish for them no more.
Right.
And that's it. And, guiding, you can catch them year round.
Right.
My
least favorite time to crappie fish is the spawn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's overrated in my opinion.
Fall fishing is my favorite.
Absolutely. Post-spawn.
Oh, yeah. All of it, and so we fish year round, always have fished year round. So I thought, hey, if the sport is 1/12 of what it ought to be today, if we get people to start fishing 2 months out of the year, it's doubled.
Right.
Yeah, we get them 4 months out of the year, it's quadrupled. Eventually, guys like yourselves and all the other people out there that are involved in, not just tournament crappie fishing, but exposing crappie fishing, I think we can get this thing to go 12 times over.
Right.
And it's really starting to grow.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Do you think it, you own the trail, what's up, financially what's up. Do you think there, at any point between now and 100 years, do you think it'd get as big as bass fishing, where somebody could actually follow the trails, make a living at it, et cetera, et cetera?
I don't know the answer to that. I believe, I know what it takes, and it takes the audience to be there. So
So the audience is number one key to grow something like that.
Absolutely.
Grow the sport.
Absolutely.
Is the audience there right now?
No. No, it's not even close.
It's not even close.
No. Not even close.
So what kind of audience do you think you need to go towards to get that? Like, what kind of audience?
I think if everybody keeps doing what they're doing, we just keep taking baby steps, and eventually we'll get there. It could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 40. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's so when you watch bass fishing, when bass fishing pops up on ESPN, that's a big deal.
Yes.
So bass fishing promotions cost millions of dollars. So to operate a tournament trail, you're working on a budget for a year that is a portion of what their budget is for a part of a tournament.
Yeah.
And so their money comes from views, eyeballs, audience, and so they're able to advertise to a larger audience real fast. That's why all the money gets spent over there. So until the audience grows, when you get let's take Crappie Masters television for an example. In a year's time, it reaches around 3.2, 3.4 million households, and that's in 26 weeks. And these big, bass fishing shows are probably reaching that in a week.
Wow.
So, you got.
Yeah.
What's kind of strange to me is like, and I guess of course I'm in Mississippi, and it's known for crappie fishing for sure. But when I go to a lake, whether it's Grenada or Ross Barnett or Lake Washington, I'd say 80% of the boats on the water are crappie fishing.
Yes.
And so I think that we have the people out there. It's just getting them to the point that they're engaging with the TV shows or in the podcast, the Crappie Connection.
That's right.
But different things like that to make the sport grow, and anything that we can do. That's our whole target here, is to help grow this sport.
Yes. And I believe that the key to that is teaching people how to catch crappie.
Right.
Yeah. And so if you got people learn how to catch fish outside of the spring, into the summer, into the fall and winter, that you're, instead of selling 25 packs of jigs a year, you could sell 12 times that. Everybody's
instead of that guy buying jigs for a month, he's going to buy jigs the other 11 months.
You got it.
Speaking of buying jigs and stuff, we all of our friends, we talk crappie fishing 24/7. Do you think, to help to expand the sport, do you think, could you see you yourself taking minnows out of the equation for the trails to help it grow, or do you think that'd be a bad idea?
It's a great question.
He had to know that it was coming.
So you have to, you got to think about that in a lot of different ways. Right now, people want to have fun. They want to catch fish. I think that's really important right now, is everybody, coming, having a good time, and being able to catch fish. So having the rules, the way they are, at Crappie Masters and all tournament trails right now, live bait is acceptable. I think that here's my thoughts is when
spill it out
as a tournament trail, when you can get in position that you are in control, then you can make the rules how you want to make them. So what that means is you got to have people to fish them. So if you've got 1,000 people fishing and you got 1,000 over here waiting in line to get in, you're in control.
Yeah.
And we ain't nowhere near that.
Nowhere near it.
Yep. Nowhere near that. You cannot you can't tighten the rules down until you have people waiting in line to fish. And you're not going to have that until you have the money for them to fish for. And, our entry fees are this tournament was $250 to fish it. And even if you had 1,000 entries,
right,
it's it'd be good money.
Yeah, definitely.
But you'd also be spreading that money out over a whole lot more people. But bass fishing, big bass fishing tournament entry fees are sometimes thousands of dollars per tournament. Walleye, that's right.
Yeah, I think BFL was, last time I heard, was 5,000.
5,000 entry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
If we would have had that today, we would have had $37,500 in pot or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, excuse me, way more than that.
Right.
And my math is way off there, but even if it was, $500, we could have had that.
Yeah.
But,
is there anything that Crappie Masters is like? Do you have anything up your sleeve that you're trying to go towards? For yourself? I mean, okay, do you have
your goal for Crappie Master?
Your direction that you might want to lead towards that you haven't shared with nobody else, or you want to share with anybody?
Our goal is just to continue to teach people how to catch crappie and how to have a good time doing it. It's got to be fun, it's got to be exciting, and you got to have more people wanting to fish, and that's really it. The rest of it will fall into place when you got more people interested. And it's just a long process. I don't know the history. I don't know the dates and years. How long did it take bass fishing to take that big step?
Yeah.
And it could be a lot of years before crappie fishing can take that big step. But doing, like I said, doing things like this, and there's other people out there doing more and more stuff all the time, and everybody helps each other out, and the sport's gonna keep growing for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about tournaments. What's some of the lakes that you would like to go to as far as Crappie Masters in the future?
I would like to, like I said, I would like to get into Kansas sometime, and so.
Is there a particular lake out there that you're focused on in Kansas?
Not exactly. They've got 4 or 5 over there. It's just figuring out how to. I think they have the anglers over there. They're interested. Plus, You know, we're I think you'd have some traveling anglers from 4 or 5 surrounding states there that would go and fish over there, so you'd have a chance to have a good turnout. And you know, particular lakes, I shouldn't say that we have a particular lake in mind. There's some big fish lakes I'd love to have a tournament on, but on the financial end of things, there's a lot of things got to take place there. But the key for having some good turnouts has got to be one of two things. You either got to go there and catch a lot of fish and everybody has a lot of fun doing it, or they got to go there, you know, catch less fish but catch some monster fish.
Right.
And that's just like having a tournament here this week. You know you're not going to come here and catch 50 or 60 a day.
Right.
You can,
right.
But you know every time that pole goes down, it could be a 3-pounder.
Absolutely.
And that's what keeps people coming to Lake Washington for sure.
Yeah. Is there how does Crappie Masters go about picking a new lake? Because Darbone is how many years you fish Darbone, or did that just come on to
2 or 3?
2 or 3.
Yeah,
so what's the process of you
Fourth.
saying, hey, we're going to this lake? What's the process of that?
Well, it's got to be a fishery that has some kind of reputation of one of those two things, big fish or a lot of fish. So Darbone, we've just been hearing, you know, people talk about. A couple TV shows were done down there, and the fishing was exposed. We got some wind of it, and we were actually contacted by one of the anglers down there that was talking about forming a crappie club, and they wanted to add Crappie Masters down there. So basically, when we talked, I said, hey, what I would like to see is if you guys have a crappie club down there and you got 20, 30 teams that are fishing, and if we knew that we could get, you know, half of those guys, you know, fish the tournament, and we brought some travelers in so we had a chance of having a successful tournament, let's say, you know, 40, 50 boats. Mm-hmm. And I said, we'd like to come. And at that time, they didn't have nothing going on down there, and we didn't think we could get any local participation, so we were holding back, held out, and then they got a crappie club going and got some interest going down there, and we started seeing some weights and hearing about the fishery. TV show was done, and next thing you know, we're down there and checking it out and talking to people and got it worked out. But I mean, that's kind of the process. You want to make sure that it's a good fishery, and yeah, and
make sure you got anglers that's going to participate.
Yeah, that's
number
right.
1, 2.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just a shot in the dark. You just take a stab at it. So,
you got a bucket list on the lake you like to fish personally?
Me personally,
yeah.
One that I tell you what, I want to get down sometime and single pole fish on Millwood in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely want to do anything that's got big fish that I can go and single pole fish. I'm in.
You're in.
You personally, when did you start crappie fishing?
You know, I did a lot when I was or not a lot. I did some when I was a kid. Then kind of I got ate up with playing golf for a lot of years. It was wild, and then Gus got back into fishing all of a sudden. It was around back into it in the early 2000s, and then I never actually fished a crappie tournament until 2009, and it was the first time I ever fished a crappie fishing tournament. And then I fished one tournament that year.
How'd you do? Your first one?
I don't think it went too well. We didn't do very good. But then, so in 2010, started fishing some more tournaments. The Crappie Masters National Championship was going to be on Truman Lake, which is where I live, and I wanted to be able to fish in that. And that didn't go very good.
I fished that tournament.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Like when you was up there and you tell me I ain't never going back.
Yeah, it was tough for me.
Yeah, it's different. So
everybody's got their favorite and least favorite lakes out there for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there anything that you want to like? I was one of that guy. I was one of them guys before. I fished a few tournaments, which I've only fished a handful of tournaments in my life. But is there anything that you want to add to the guys that's probably scared to come on board to try to fish a trail?
Or
a tournament.
Yeah, you just can't forget that it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a learning experience.
Educational.
That's right. We were just, you look back last year, the same guy rarely wins the same tournament twice. It just doesn't happen a whole lot. Nobody really comes out and dominates. There are some great crappie fishermen out there, and the list keeps growing every year. And but it's just, to me, I was always like, I don't need to fish a tournament, And then the first time I went, I was hooked, and I got beat up, But man, it was just so much fun and the experience, and you got to learn from these people that have done so good for so long.
And they'll tell you. They will tell you.
Absolutely, they'll tell you. They'll tell you everything right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They will give you lots of great information. They still do.
I think, somebody getting into crappie fishing and they want to learn and find other people that have the same passion that we all have at this table for sure. The best avenue to me would be fishing tournaments. Whether it be a small local club, if there's any in that area, and there might not be. And in that case, definitely, go fish your Crappie Masters at Lake Washington or Grenada Lake, or maybe it's your vacation time. So, I've always heard about Grenada Lake.
Yes,
I'm gonna go fish Grenada Lake.
Yep.
More likely, you probably won't come out and win it, but you might meet your next best friend.
Yeah,
and some very good friends. Here. Yeah. So I think somebody starting out crappie fishing, you can't find a better avenue to find all the other people that have the same passion and interest that you've got at one location.
Yeah. I mean, you just, you could be staying at the same hotel as somebody. This week, for example, you can be a guy that's never fished a tournament, and you show up and there's a fish fry going on out in the parking lot, and you roll over there. And, hey, here's Charlie Bunning, and there's Tommy Scarless, and 4 or 5 other guys out there.
Absolutely.
And they just. You just listen or talk to them a little bit. Hey, it's my first time. I don't know nothing, and they will help you out. They will tell you all kinds of neat stuff, and they're
probably not going to give you GPS coordinates at that time or nothing. But
there's a lot of technical stuff that you need to know for your boat to. I mean, there's a lot of techniques. That's what I'm trying to get at. There's a lot of techniques that you got to do. You got to buy and you got to learn.
Yes.
And then these guys will tell you. They'll tell you for sure.
Yep. They can get you set up, and a lot of them feel like that's it's kind of like their duty and their job, or especially a lot of guys that are pro staffers for people. They want to help, and they
want the sport to grow.
That's right.
And that's what everybody that has been on our show, from A to Z, everybody wants the sport to grow, and they have been open armed. And I wouldn't know 90% of the crappie fishermen I know if it wasn't fishing for tournaments, and it wasn't sitting around the hotels in the afternoons, shooting a bull and telling fish tales with those guys. And so I have a very good respect for tournament fishing for people that's definitely wanting to get into this sport. Hey, reach out and go fish your Crappie Masters. I mean, the best thing that can come out of it, you definitely could win. But number 2, you can create those friendships and that knowledge that you cannot get anywhere else.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. Just like today, I was walking up, and I got to see a few guys that I've known, got to know, and it's just always great to talk to them.
Yeah.
Always great. Is there what's your favorite, which one that sticks up in your mind that just, the favorite tournament that just blows you out of the water? And I want to know the details of why.
Let's see. Favorite tournament that really jumps up.
It just blew your mind out, like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm sitting here going this one, that. I mean, there's been so many good ones. The state of Texas has blown my mind.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't really know that there were so many good crappie fishing lakes down there. And if I can find a way to single pole fish somewhere, that's what I'm gonna do. And every time I go down there, they're like, "Oh, you should try this one or that one." And so Lake Fork, Texas, to me is. Man, I really like that place. It reminds me of our lake at home. Truman's got a lot of standing timber, and I can single pole fish it. But when you go down there, it's like single pole fishing my home lake, but the fish are twice the size.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun.
You ever been to Toledo Bend?
I've never been there. Never fished it.
Yeah, I fished there 3 years ago in May, and man, it is full of fish, full of structure, full of fish, and man, it is huge. That lake is huge. It's like
I've never been there.
186,000 acres or something like that. It's something crazy.
That's big.
Yeah, that's monstrous.
It is a big, big, big lake.
And they just hammer the fish down there year round.
Yeah.
Big time.
It's known for bass fishing. Big time. I mean, everybody wants to go to Toledo Bay, and I think it was ranked #1 bass fishing for no telling how many years consecutive. But on the crappie side, it took me literally like 15 minutes to locate crappie down there. And I mean, that's not always the case where we fish at. You know, sometimes you might spend half a day trying to find some crappie, but down there it was just so many crappie.
Is that the one with the big old brush piles you was telling me about?
Yeah.
Just loaded, huh?
Absolutely loaded. Great fishery. And there's so many out there, but you know, it takes time and money to venture out, I know.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I always like to try. It's hard. It's easy to get caught up going the same places over and over and doing the same thing. And what I've learned is that if you just go drop your boat in somewhere and go crappie fishing, go figure it out, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, to me it is. Maybe some days you get skunked, but it feels good to go somewhere and just do something different and figure something out.
Speaking of that, we talk about, you know, going to a different lake, a new lake. When is it in Crappie Masters or your mind to say I want to retire this lake for this year? When do you make that decision?
You know, sometimes it's made for you. But, you know, again, it's a business, and our job is to advertise and expose the fishery, and you know, a lot of these towns and counties are wanting you to come there so you can have a tournament there, so it gets the exposure that it gets through advertisement, and you know, you're down there a week, and the lake's on your schedule for a full year, and a lot of articles and come out of it, and online exposure and so on and so forth. But you know, time to retire a lake. Turnout really is one of the big things. I get asked a lot of times, you know, well, you go to the same lakes over and over and over, and these people have been going there for 8 years. They already know where they're going to fish before they even come, and I say, yeah, I understand that, but again, the same people don't win all the time, and it's always different. And
do you ever consider, like, on your tournament schedule, and I'm sure it's got to be, you know, some would make sense as far as the travel arrangements and stuff, but you ever thought about just like throwing all the names in a hat and then picking them out one by one?
Yeah, draw for dates. Yeah. You know, you'd like to do that, but some things that I've learned is timing is everything. So, if especially in the summertime, there's just there's places that you can't go in the summer. Come down to the south and the deep south, especially as it gets so hot. They're just not going to fish in it, and most of these good turnouts are taking place in the spring and before summer rolls around, family vacations, and you know, again, we're not in control, as I say, and you're not forced. We're not fishing for 100,000, so you're like, well, do I go to Disneyland or Grenada?
Grenada.
Yeah.
Oh, actually.
Well, I go to Grenada. You know, that's a no-brainer. But
Right.
But yeah, it's there's conflicts of schedule, so you got to take all these things in consideration, and again, you want them to have good experiences, catch fish, numbers, and you know, one thing that's you know, people say, well, you're always chasing the spawn. Well, we're not always chasing the spawn. We're trying to get our tournaments in while we can get them in, and you kind of need to stay further south, you know, so you're not facing ice on water, and you know, we couldn't have a tournament in Missouri right now.
No.
You'd be ice fishing.
Yeah, well, you gotta hit it right to where you got good turnouts. You know, you gotta get it to where the fish are biting. At least you ain't gonna, you know, you don't want to come down here and ice fish in Mississippi.
No,
you know,
no, don't want to do
That's
that.
happened.
Yeah. I hear it's here turn left field right quick, bro. mumbling here. I'm just jabbing. I think it's too many Mountain Dews. Do you have? There's a lot of guys that say you keep coming to these lakes. Go in and set this straight for everybody. Where Crappie Masters ain't hurting any lake. Do you feel? I mean, what would you have to say to them guys?
No, I think, there's some potential there if you was on a lake that was, 2,000 acres, let's say. If you come in and expose a lake that's 2,000 acres, you could probably hurt it. I mean, it's not big enough.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you see this all the time. Lake Washington, tournament fishing at Lake Washington has brought a lot of attention to it. Guide trips at Lake Washington has brought a lot of attention to it. Television shows. There's a lot of things that's brought attention here. And it's not that big of a lake.
Right.
But, it's got tons of cover in it. You don't realize how much cover is in this lake. Has good
spawns.
Oh, yeah. Great spawns. They replenishes. I think lakes go through cycles. That's just what I think. And you get a down year or two, and oh my gosh, it's been ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so when we come here for a tournament, the majority of the people are returning the fish. We returned every. I don't know what the mortality rate was today, but it was very minimal. I mean, the water's 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Them fish can stay alive forever. So they're going back into the lake on tournament day.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yep, exactly.
And that's why we like to have these weigh-ins on the water. And it would be nice to put on some shows and maybe someday you can. All these things cost money, in return. That's right. Lots of time, but when you have a weigh-in right beside the water and you can walk your fish over and boom, they're gone. And that's one of the best deals available. So I haven't seen a fishery that's been hurt from tournaments anywhere. Took 13.98 to win last year. It took 13.96 to win this year.
In the roughest conditions that you could probably handle right now.
Lake Washington has a pretty good history of throwing out some horrible weather for our tournaments.
Yeah, I remember that first year I come down here. Was it 3 years ago? 3 or 4? It was flooding again. Man, it was horrible. I stayed wet the whole time.
Yeah. It took almost 18 pounds to win here at one year.
Yep.
Yeah. 18 pounds.
Yeah.
That's strong.
It's very strong.
So,
very strong.
A lot of that's conditions, the bite. I mean, there's so many factors, but you go out and scan this lake, and I mean, there's fish from one end to the other, and there's millions of them. Millions. Not thousands, millions. And you can't, if you don't take them out, you're going to have a problem. And I mean, that's why they have, fish biologists, and that's why conservation exists. I mean, they pay attention to these things and they watch them, and I know that you've excuse me, have had a voice and and some eyes and some input down here, and I'm glad you have, and it seems like
thank you, Brad.
Great thing to do.
Thank you, Brad.
So, well, it wasn't just me, but
right, but it was having a length limit raised here, and people watching the creel limits and on and so forth. It all adds up, makes a difference, and you can protect your fishery if you control those numbers.
Well, I've got something we're talking about tournament fishing, and the biggest thing going for 2019, hands down, is the Garmin LiveScope. What is Crappie Master's standpoint? Is it going to be legal? Is it going to stay legal?
Sonar.
Sonar.
I don't know what else to say. I mean,
it's new technology.
Hey, you know what I've been saying? So wait 5 years from now, and you'll think, oh, that was
right.
That's junk.
Just like a brand new iPhone.
That's right.
And last year was 360, and year before that it was side scanning and down scan. And
I remember when side scan got good. First come out, then it got good, and then it's everybody's ain't fish safe out here.
Right.
You can chase them down, and so LiveScope. Yeah, I actually got some. I've watch online stuff a lot, and I get, you wouldn't believe the messages I get, emails, voicemails. You would not believe how many of those come my way that nobody else ever hears about. But
what do they say?
Well, you know, it's we don't need to go into that. There's some people get out there get pretty nasty about stuff if they feel certain ways, but you know, some people just they get out of control nasty. They say things they should never say, but they, you know, hey, I get it. I understand what they're thinking or what their concerns may be, but they, you know, the flip side of that is that, you know, these lakes, these fisheries, they're protected, they're safe, you know. Garmin LiveScope's not going to kill every fish.
Right. It's not going to catch them.
Spider rigging, you know.
It's not going to catch them all.
It's not going to catch them all. You got a limit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still, you know, at home. I'll use at home as an example. The limit's 15 fish, and they got to be a minimum of 9 inches. That's in Missouri. It doesn't matter if you call them spider rigging, single pole. It doesn't matter. It's 15 and 9 inches, and they got possession limits. And
do you see it changing tactics as far as tournaments?
Yeah, it's a possibility. That's a strong possibility. I can actually see where single pole fishing is, you know,
got a whole lot more competitive.
Just got a whole lot more competitive. Absolutely. I've seen it take place this year on the trail. I can tell you that it had nothing to do with any of the top teams this week. You know, 2 weeks ago it was if you know, since never fishing tournament again, if you ain't got LiveScope, and it's like, you know, it's not that big of a game changer,
right?
You know, it's there, you know, it's going to have its times that it works and its times that it don't. I mean, you show me how to go long lining with LiveScope, how that's going to help you,
right? I
mean, it might help you locate, you know, fish quicker in a water column and stuff like that, but you know, so there's times when long lining technique's going to just, you know, pound any other technique. And so
that's one thing I love about this sport, and I say it all the time, is you can catch them from a bobber sitting on a pier, you can catch them out in the middle of the lake on the bottom, and you can catch them right on the surface anywhere on the lake. There's just so many ways to win a Crappie Masters tournament. I'm sure you've seen. What's the strangest victory that you've seen win a tournament that was really just totally unexpected?
Great question.
Yeah,
I think I know.
That was, I think that was a year ago in Florida. And so the day one leaders, let's see, no, they weren't day one leaders. They was in second. Paul Turner was day one leader. And so I get information where people are at, so we go when we're filming, and I go chase them down. So these guys, they told me where they was at, and I get to where they're at, and I'm telling you, they were just cork and minnow fishing, and they were just throwing them in, and they probably knew a little bit more about what they're doing than what I was seeing. But they have a cork going this way, and a cork. I mean, they had them all over the place. And
how many rods was they using? Was they using just 2 rods, one rod per person? Or?
They were using probably, I think they had, like each of them probably was casting out 2 corks in different directions, and they might have had a pole hanging over the edge. And
so they were just casting a bobber and minnow, just letting it set?
Open water.
Open water.
Open water. They were back in a bay, and there were some boat docks, and it was just open water, and they were just throwing them. And because I asked them, I said, what are you targeting out here? He's like, we're just kind of getting them out there, and you know, and every once in a while I want to bite it. And we watched them catch 3 not big monster fish on film on the television show, and I was like, wow. That blew my mind. That was kind of one of the coolest things I've seen. It was just straight cork fishing.
Straight cork fishing.
Yeah. You know, I remember when Tommy Scarlett won the national championship on Grenada. That was something that, you know, it took everybody by a complete shock, because we've always seen him out there pulling those little strange things out in the middle of the lake, and they're like, man, what's this guy doing out there? And then he comes in and puts the beat down on everybody, and everybody's like, I'm going to get some planter boards after this. You know, I'm supposed to learn this.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, a lot of guys did. And I'm guilty as one of them. I can pull planter boards right now, but that totally shocked a lot of people.
That was incredible, and Tommy Scarlett and I had many conversations, and he says he was looking forward. He says, I think I've cracked the code. I can't wait to use. I'm gonna come to Truman Lake. I'll show you how to catch it. Anyway, so we talked a lot, and I said, you know, sometimes it was the circumstances, and you know, that ain't always going to work. And I hurt his feelings. What do you mean it won't work? You don't know what you're talking about. And I said, well, I may not. And I said, and I hope that it does work for you, because it would be cool if it did. And I said, but, you know, crappie fishing's been in existence for ever.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think anybody's going to rewrite the rule book, but it has been successful. It will be successful again, but you know, it wasn't successful today. And there was a couple different boats out there this week pulling.
Really?
They was hammering away on them boards, and I seen them catch a fish or two caught, but you know, it's slow for everybody. So, but we'll see it at Grenada. I've seen it at a lot of places, and you never seen it before. But yeah, it did take you by surprise.
It did.
But you know, it you know, you could have been out there long lining and doing the same thing.
Right.
But I think what was unique about him is they put a pattern together too, and I think their outside boards were catching all their big fish. And they was talking 100, 150 foot wide, and getting it away from the boat was key.
Yeah, I fished that tournament, and I pre-fished that tournament, and I couldn't catch any weight long lining. So as soon as I saw those guys pulling those little strange things at the time, I was like, man, we ain't got to worry about that guy. And then he just come in and clear the field.
Bag, huh?
He dropped a bomb on us.
Yes, he did. And not only him, you know, the Battersons took second place doing the exact same thing.
That's right.
Yep.
Now to clarify that he was pulling planer boards with cranks, right?
Offshore tackle planer boards, and yeah, they was pulling crankbaits. Yes, they was pulling crankbaits. And since then, he has been to Florida and pulled jigs and pulled crankbaits and had a lot of success down there. And last year, they were third in this tournament, pulling crankbaits on planer boards. So, yeah, the technique works. You know, it's just like anything else. You get dialed in on a big fish bite and watch out. And they can cover so much water.
So quick.
Yeah.
What's the biggest fish weighing for Crappie Masters?
Ever?
Yeah.
387.
387.
Jeff Riddle, David Maddox, in whatever year that was, 15.
I'd say so. About 4 years ago.
On Grenada. Yeah, 387.
What was the heaviest stringer? That's probably the heaviest one.
J-Don, Ronda Reeve, 7 fish, 2054, same year. Yep.
Yeah, I had 19 pounds, and I think I come in fifth.
Yeah.
Dang.
1905, I remember. Had 3 3-pounders.
David Cox and Steve Hockett had 14 fish at 38.92 on that tournament.
Good Lord.
Which is a record. Almost 40 pounds.
That's big, ain't it? Real big.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add to all the viewers that's listening, tuning in, maybe wanting to fish one of your trails or one of your tournaments?
Yeah, you know, like I said, it's a competition. It's fun.
Don't be scared.
Exciting. Don't be scared. Get out and try it. You know, even if you just do one ever, try it. Even if it's a local tournament, a club tournament, you know, just get involved. Get out and meet these people, talk to these people. I know that it has helped a lot of people learn how to crappie fish and catch more crappie. You know, everybody else out there, just keep doing what you're doing, promoting the sport. Get more people involved, get more youth involved. I mean, we had 2 or 3 adult youth teams here and traveling, and we're seeing more at other tournaments, and you know, we have to have a future for this sport.
Yeah.
So, you know, and with electronics going the direction that they're going, I think that you're going to see
the youth coming in,
a little more youth coming in, saying, you know, this is pretty cool. I can do this. Yeah. It adds an element to them. I mean, you can come on with electronics now. You can come out here and catch fish. I really believe that.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see what the future is in electronics, and you know, others are a little scared by it, but you know, it's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing you can do.
Yeah, we need people to get out there and get interested in, want to go crappie fishing. So whatever makes them get out of the living room and out of the recliner and come crappie fishing, I'm all for.
Absolutely. And what really gets me is just seeing the guys that have been out there for 30, 40 years tournament fishing, and there's some of the ones that are first ones in line getting that new stuff and learning how to use it fast. I was amazed at some of the people that had the most modern technology out there in this last few weeks. I was like, I never thought he would have had one of those. So,
well, Mike, I greatly appreciate you coming over tonight and talking some crappie and talk for sure. Other than that, check out, guys, go on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube page, the Crappie Connection. Get a lot of good intel from all these guys. Other than that, check out the Direction Mark Stowe. Other than that, if y'all done, I'm done. I'm Justin Berry.
Brad Chappell here.
Mike Vallentine, greatly appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Other than that, we're out of here, guys.
Holla.
River here, I'll rest my soul. I can